Ever since adding the Genie 2 motion control system to my kit, my production value has shot way up. Not only have I been able to make cinematic shots effortless, I have been able to get shots that are impossible to get without a motion control system. I'm going to get straight to the point here. When I first got this system, it was a little overwhelming, but now, the more I use it, the more I love it. I'm going to share my favorite things about this product right at the start of this video. The first thing is that this system is truly modular. You can literally buy only one product from Syrp and use it on its own. For example, their linear module is designed in a way that it can be used with any slider or dolly in the market. You won't have to buy anything else from them again if you don't want to. Unlike other systems that are modular, you probably have to buy 2 or more items for it to start working. The second thing that I really like is that you can extend the length of your slider infinitely, and it is very easy to do so. More on this later in the video. The third thing is that the Magic Carpet slider has a unique feature where I can add a counterweight and it allows me to increase the payload capacity. This design is simple yet elegant. It's really the beauty in simplicity. Of course, there are many other great things about this slider, and like every product, it will have its flaws as well. I will dive further into all of that later in this video, so keep watching. If you guys are new to this channel, do consider subscribing for more of such content like this in the future. Hey guys, what's up? My name is Bernard and welcome to the channel. So for today's video, I'll be closely scrutinizing every aspect of Syrp's motion control system. After all, if you're going to invest in a system like that, I'm sure you want to know every detail about it. Anyways, I got this product from Cathay Photo in Singapore, so if you're interested in it, do check out their website. Links will be in the description. Do take note that this is not a sponsored video and my thoughts will not be influenced in any way. With that disclaimer out of the way, let's take a look at this product. All the features and specifications won't matter if this slider is not capable of smooth shots, so let's take a look at some sample footage first. I'm going to focus on 2 things. 1 is to see if there is any camera shake, and 2 to see if the slider will flex if I use only one tripod. This clip is shot at a 20mm focal length at the slider's fastest speed. Despite moving so quickly, the shot looks smooth. No stabilization has been done in post. And yes, this slider is capable of moving very quickly, covering the 60cm track length in just 5 seconds. One thing you might have noticed is that the horizon shifted a little. That is unavoidable because physics. The ideal solution is to have 2 points of contact on the slider. Alternatively, there is an easy fix. All you have to do is crop your footage in a little and digitally tilt it accordingly. That was the exact same clip as before, but you see that the horizon was pretty much leveled throughout. We will try the same setup again with a more realistic speed, and this time, I will keyframe an ease in and ease out motion. You can see that the shot is perfectly smooth with the new settings. Also, when you run the slider at slower speeds, the horizon shift is not as apparent. Tighter focal lengths tend to pick up camera shake more easily, so we'll switch over to the 55mm lens and see how it looks. Even at a relatively fast speed, I still think that the footage looks really smooth. Last but not least, we will be switching over to the 90mm macro lens, which is a heavier setup and getting extreme close-ups with it. You can see that some camera shake was picked up at the start, but the rest of the footage looks pretty good. One thing we could do is to keyframe a slower ease-in speed, or we could just avoid using the footage at the start of the move. Alternatively, applying stabilization in post seems to work wonders and the jitters are completely gone. With that segment, we have established that the Syrp motion control system is perfectly capable of smooth shots even at fast speeds. However, physics is unavoidable and the slider will flex a little towards the extreme ends. The horizon shift is negligible in my opinion, but if you're particular about it, it can easily be solved by having 2 points of contact on the slider. There are many mounting points that will allow you to use a couple of tripods for additional support. You can also get creative by using your surroundings to your advantage. Or you can always fix it in post like I demonstrated earlier, but do remember to frame up your shot with the intention to crop in. Another thing I would like to show is that because of the camera's height on the setup, you won't see the slider in frame during a dolly-in move even with a 24mm. This isn't the case for most sliders because the track usually shows up in frame. With a 20mm focal length, the slider peeks into the frame slightly, but it can easily be fixed with a small tilt at the beginning of the movement. For the next test, we'll be doing 3-axis movements, and my focus will be on whether the different modules can work cohesively. In my experience with cheaper motion control system, getting smooth linear movements is quite possible, but when you start adding movements from other axes, that's when the footage usually starts falling apart. Looking at this clip individually, I would say that the movement on all 3 axes are pretty good considering that it was moving at a relatively fast speed. But if I were to nitpick, I would say that it is not perfect because I could still pick up some slight jerks. However, with a little stabilization applied in post, honestly, the footage looks really good. Now, we're going to repeat the same test with a tighter focal length. Looking at this clip, I can see some slight jerks at the beginning and towards the end of the movement. The footage in between looks great to me. My advice is, when getting your shot, frame it in a way that the portions you want are at the center of the movement. Alternatively, if you need to use the entire clip, applying stabilization in post works wonders, as you can see here. You can also shoot at higher frame rates and slow it down in post to smoothen out the movements. Before I wrap up this segment, I want to quickly point out that the Syrp system is also capable of repeating movements precisely. This allows for unique masking or cloning shots like the one shown here. Now that I'm convinced that the Syrp system is capable of smooth and repeatable shots on all 3 axes, let's dive deeper into all its features and talk about the pros and cons. Let's begin by elaborating further on the features I highlighted earlier in this video. As someone who might want to get into the world of motion control, I can understand that the initial investment is very heavy. That's where the modular aspect of this system is perfect for you. Instead of diving deep into Syrp's ecosystem, perhaps you can start by getting only the linear module. The linear module includes accessories that allow you to use any slider you might already own and make it motorized. Alternatively, you can buy just the pen tilt head on its own or the slider to test it out first. Once you're confident that you'll enjoy Syrp's products, you can slowly start purchasing the other parts for a complete system. The other thing I absolutely love about this system is the extension track. The footprint of it is so small and light in storage. Setting it up is toolless and convenient. It should take only about a minute to add an additional 60 cm of track to your slider. If you are wondering if the shots are still smooth with the added track, yes it is. This shot is with the 55mm lens at a speed of 15 seconds over 120 cm travel distance. You can see that even with a relatively tight focal length and fast speeds, the shot is very stable. In theory, you are able to extend the track infinitely if you are planning to use it manually. If you want to keep it motorized, Syrp does sell the rope attachment that extends to 100 meters. For your reference, the rope that comes included in the set is 3 meters long. I believe that this is the longest motorized slider in the market, and this flexibility is one of my favorite features and the unique selling point of the Magic Carpet slider. However, do take note that the extension features only apply to the Magic Carpet Carbon Fiber and the Magic Carpet Pro. The third thing I mentioned was the counterweight system. The payload capacity of the linear motor is 7.5 kg horizontally and understandably lower at 2.5 kg vertically. 2.5 kg should be more than enough for most mirrorless setups these days, but do take note that it includes the weight of anything you put on top of the linear module, which includes the pen tilt head. However, if your setup is heavier than that, you can easily use anything as a counterweight by tying the included rope to the carriage and running it through the built-in pulley system. By doing so, you can effectively increase the vertical payload capacity, but Syrp recommends that you keep it under 4 kg. After trying it myself, I think it works brilliantly and I'm glad I have this option if the situation ever arises. So those are my top 3 favorite features, but let's take a look to see what else about this system that is great. Another thing that I like about this system is that its batteries are removable. That means that I can have a spare one on standby in the unlikely scenario that the battery runs out. But more importantly, replaceable batteries means that I can buy new one when the lifespan of these rechargeable batteries unavoidably deteriorate over time. It would be much cheaper to just buy new batteries instead of having to swap out the entire part. Another thing that I like about this system is that it is beltless. I have this impression that sliders with belts are more fragile, but then again, this is not something that I can confirm. The only cable is a rope, and at least it runs taut across the slider, with no chance of it getting jammed up in the moving parts. If you want to take a time lapse with this system, you do have to attach an additional shutter release cable. But the good news is that this cable travels along with the motors and the camera, which means it won't have to be stretched and risk being pulled out. Another thing that I like about this system is that it is very ergonomic. With the product's integrated quick release system and a couple of my own quick release plates, I'm able to switch between full 3-axis motion to a single axis motion to completely manual in a matter of seconds. This flexibility allows me to use the best tool for the job at any given situation. Last but not least, the thing that I like about this system is how precisely I can control the motion. With the app, I can create multiple keyframes and customize the settings to get precisely what I want. The level of customization here is on the next level and nothing like I've ever seen before on other sliders. But I must admit that the app's interface is not very intuitive. It is unlikely that you can pass it to your colleague who has never used it before and expect him to know how to operate it. The perfect way to describe this is like comparing Premiere Pro to Windows Movie Maker. Windows Movie Maker, although simple, has very limited functions. Premiere Pro, on the other hand, although complicated, can allow you to unleash its full potential. That is very much what this app is like. Another good thing about the app is that you can exit the app and disconnect it from the slider in the middle of a movement and it will keep running. You can also reconnect it without disrupting anything. One of my favorite things is that when I reopen the app, I still have the option to reuse my last keyframe should I want to. I am also able to save presets for my favorite movements and load them up instantly each time I want to use it. This may sound like a small thing, but it saves so much time and effort during setup, and it is absolutely game-changing. Anyways, since we kind of got started on the topic of cons, let's talk about the quirks and flaws about this product. Although none of them are complete deal breakers to me, some of them can get rather annoying. First up, I really wish I had better control of this system manually with physical buttons. With the pen tilt head, you're still able to set keyframes and all. However, with the linear module, although I'm still able to move the slider with the physical buttons, I am not able to set keyframes. For simpler shots, I really wish I didn't have to use the app as it will still take time to connect. Also, I have to ensure that my phone has battery at all times. Another annoying thing is the quick release plate they chose to use on their pen tilt head. With so many common and popular quick release systems like Acra Swiss, Manfrotto 200PL and 501 style plates to pick from, I don't understand why they had to go with something proprietary that no one uses. Perhaps it's just me that is triggered by this, but at least the solution is an easy fix. All you have to do is to attach a base plate of your choice on the pen tilt head. Another thing that I really wish they had was the optional flywheel system for when I want to use the sliders manually. The Magic Carpet Pro has an integrated flywheel system that sounds really awesome, but that one is significantly heavier and pricier. This is not really a big deal as I have the motion control system for when I want really smooth and precise shots. Manually, the slider is very smooth as well. It just takes a bit more skill to get precise control. Another thing that slightly bothers me is that Syrp didn't bother to create a proper bag for their system. From what I've seen so far, they have only one bag that fits just the slider and not the complete system. I'm going to have to find other alternatives to store and transport this gear. The fifth thing that I wish for is that the legs come with markings. That will make leveling the slider significantly easier. The sixth con is that the power on button is rather sensitive. With just a touch of the button, it will turn on. There also isn't an auto switch off feature if left idle, so there is that risk of accidentally turning it on when in storage and draining the batteries out entirely. I spoke to the Syrp support team and they said that they are aware of this and they are working to fix it. Speaking of power, the product automatically turns on when charging. It also makes a slight noise and it's rather annoying to be too close to it. I tend to leave it in another room when I'm charging the device. Like I said earlier, all the issues are pretty minor and have easy fixes. However, one potential deal breaker for some consumers is that this system does not have a fourth axis, which is the focus module. Personally, this doesn't matter to me as autofocus has been working fine for me. However, I won't complain if Syrp decides to develop a focus module in the future. A current solution I have for it is to get a wireless follow focus system. In fact, this might be the better solution because sliders with follow focus systems use keyframes to pull focus and that sometimes doesn't work perfectly. So yes, that's pretty much all my likes and dislikes about this product. I will be making a tutorial on how to fully utilize your motion control system to get the most out of it. I will also be sharing my workflow for the Syrp system, so do subscribe to my channel to stay tuned for that video. Or if you enjoyed this one. That's pretty much it for today. It's a wrap!